Hey, I believe we are live.
Hey everybody.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Welcome to a special outside edition of Happy Half Hour.
That's right. This is the 50th Happy Half Hour we have done. And if you are a newcomer, this is my daughter, Sam Shakavage. I'm David Shakavage. We are the owners and partners in Carolina Retirement Planners. And for 50 weeks now, we have come to you every Thursday at 4:30 for what we call Happy Half Hour. And so it's been an interesting year.
It sure has. So Dad, you don't necessarily look like you're in the office, right?
Not in the office. I'm actually on vacation, and I'm here. I am here right now on the Uwharrie River. The Uwharrie River kind of runs through the Uwharrie National Forest here in the center, practically the center of North Carolina. There are the Uwharrie Forest again encompass the Uwharrie Mountains, and they are one of the oldest mountain ranges in the entire country. They're not very tall because they've been around so long. they only go up to maybe a little over 1,000 feet. So it's not the cool mountains like we got in the western part of the state, but it's still only 3 hours from Wilmington. So it's a nice place to go. And I just love sitting here in my kayak out on the river and just fishing,
Well, earlier Miranda sent us an email saying catch one for her.
I will do that.
Are they biting today?
Not yet. A little early yet. They, better a couple more hours. Sun gets close to the horizon. Yeah.
So how'd you find the cabin?
Well, it was about a year ago. It was June a year ago. About just the third weekend of June. My wife Sandy is very cautious. The whole COVID thing, she says, "Man, I'm worried." And normally when a hurricane comes to Wilmington, if it's any size, we pack up and we go to a pet-friendly residence in Cary, right next to the hospital. So we're on the power grid for the hospital. And Sam, because we'll go up there, we'll rent rooms, we'll bring up the bird, the dog, your husband, we just set up and run the business from there. And, so we have computers and power. Well, weren't sure when, you remember back when COVID started, things were closed and limited and we didn't know. Plus we didn't want to, go to a hotel full of people. So she says, let's go see if we can find a cabin to rent for the fall. In the fall, if a hurricane comes, we can go to this cabin. So I said, okay. So, we knew about this area, which isn't quite as far, but still has nice cabins on these lakes. And we came up here a year ago, and we there was an Airbnb right where I am now, and they wouldn't let pets. So we knew we couldn't do it for the fall, but we thought we'd come out and scope it out. It turned out to be for sale. And not only that, this is, you can see here, there's about 40 acres with about 40 houses, and it's inside, embedded in the Uwharrie National Forest. You drive 6 miles down a dirt road to get here. And I mean, a dusty dirt road. It's just, and you are surrounded by wilderness across. In fact, if I paddle that way, I can go 2.25 miles before I hit rapids, and there's no houses. If behind me, if you see right there, if you go down that here, you come out the mouth of the Uwharrie River into the Yadkin, and right across the Yadkin is the boat ramp for Morrill Mountain State Park. So the other side of the river is all state forest. If I go down there and make a right, I go up a mile to a dam with no houses. If I make a left, I go a mile before we hit any development. So, man, it's a great place to go fishing in your kayak, because it's just, yeah, where else can you find, a place 3 miles from the next house, so it's a kind of a really special place, really great community, great folks, kind of a village. Everybody knows everybody. They all take care of each other. Um, it's a a real unique place, a real unique place. In fact,
You know, oh,
if you want to see more, on our website, go to Carolina Retirement Planners website and go to About Us, and there's some videos that we've shot. And the first one is me, and I've actually got a picture of me on the dock right over there. And I have a flyover from Wilmington to here. You come up, you're flying across North Carolina, you see all the houses and roads, and then there's this patch of green, and you come right down into the center of this patch of green, and that's where this is. There's also a quick accelerated drive down the dirt road, but that's enough of that. I've kind of waxed on too long, haven't I? Yeah.
well, what's interesting as well is that my in-laws are actually, if everything goes well, should be closing on their own cabin in your little URA neighborhood here, I believe in July. So
Yep.
so it's going to be a family affair.
Sam, you're coming up here tomorrow.
I am. I'm very
Yeah.
excited. I think as we speak, my husband is installing car racks. Hopefully he should be installing car racks on top of my little Honda Fit and a kayak rack, so I can haul my kayaks down to join you on the river. So you and I can be, right next to each other, maybe this time on Saturday.
Yeah, I see that Bill has joined us. Bruce has joined us. Barbara, hey Barbara, good to see you. Al is here.
Congratulations, Al. You're officially a North Carolinian.
Our top fan Teresa is here. Dan and Barb, good to see you. You're a few hours further on in the real mountains, as opposed to these sort of old but still pretty hot mountains. Sally is here. Brad, Al, well, Al again. Yeah, Miranda. Hey, Miranda, I will catch one for you, I promise. And Patricia is here, and Ed is.
Ed and Renee are here.
Yeah.
And also, I do want to bring up what I'm drinking this week, just because it's kind of cool. And I think that Dan and Barb might get a kick out of it. So I'm drinking, I may butcher the name of this. It's Cornet. It is an oaked Belgian, a strong blonde Belgian oaked ale. What's interesting about this is that we actually bought this in Belgium, in Brussels on our honeymoon, and we did a beer tour there. And we found out that if you buy a Belgian beer here, you're actually getting a different beer than if you bought the same exact Belgian beer in Belgium, because they do, they're trying to mass produce it to ship it off to America, and they kind of cut some corners. So that's one of the things that we've done, is actually do kind of a taste test of, not of this one I just opened because I'm excited about it, but a taste test of a Belgian beer that you can get here, and one that we've gotten in Belgium and one that we've gotten in America.
Guinness is brewed differently throughout the world too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm correct, there are some European beers, they actually have to increase the alcohol content to bring in, because we have limits on alcohol. In some cases, it's got to be between this, and in Europe it would be lighter. But hey, we ought to think
that's not Belgium though, because Belgium, this is a blonde. It's 8.5%. When we did a pub crawl, it was our first brewery we stopped at. We did a blonde that was like 8 point something, and they said, well, just FYI, this is going to be the lowest ABV of everything that we're going to taste. And everything was exquisite. Nothing tasted as alcoholic as it was. It was absolutely stunning. But I'm sorry, we are getting sidetracked here. But we do have a whole array of questions to go over, Dad. Are you ready for the? Wow, you've got the Yeti at
Next seat.
shoulder length on the boat there.
Yeah, I got it. I got it all set. So what's our questions here today?
All right. So let's start with a question from Richard. He wants to know, with the new IRA rules, what is the best way to preserve a legacy?
Yeah, in case you don't know, the new IRA rules say you used to be able to stretch your IRA. If you left it to the kids, they could take out a little bit at a time over their life expectancy. The new IRA rules say, man, you got to take it all out in 10 years. And so basically there's going to be more taxes. They're going to have to pay taxes on it faster. So there's probably two main strategies that you can do. One is to pay the taxes now and put it into something that will grow and pass on tax-free. There's really two good things there. One is a Roth IRA. Roths go tax-free. The second one is life insurance. Life insurance can be almost has been forever, a great tax-free vehicle. You want to pass money to the next generation. That's really a good strategy. And when you team it up with some long-term care strategies and all, then you'll find that that's really works too. So that's the thoughts there. And
you could also be trying to pass on, influencing your children and grandchildren's lives while you're still living, and doing some gifting now.
You could give it with a warm hand instead of a cold one. Yeah. And you've got a plan to know that you're going to die with lots of money. It may pay to pass it on ahead of time. And I'm not a lot of people lately where I'm saying, hey, you give it, think about giving it ahead of time. So, okay. So that's a good question. What else?
I see that my sister-in-law, Amanda, has joined us for the first time today. So, hey, Amanda, it's really exciting.
We should take a moment and introduce Amy, because she's looking really sharp today. So Amy is.
Oh yeah. So Amy is amazing because she's on vacation today, and she's on vacation, but she is so integral to her process that she has taken the time to help us run this from her vacation. So everybody give a round of applause from wherever you are.
Yeah, I'm a sun hat, beach attire, but yeah, hi guys.
So you got to thank Amy for coming in. Her and I both, we're so dedicated. We're on vacation and we came to
we are dedicated. We are, yes.
So
Stan wants to know, Dad, if you have an opinion regarding the use of put and call options in a retirement portfolio.
Yeah, puts and calls are where you kind of you can almost place bets on whether the market's going to go up and down. And
if you remember GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop.
Everybody was buying.
We spoke about GameStop. That's not necessarily that's an extreme case.
Calls is they're incredibly complex. You got to there's a lot of math and calculations and things you need to do to make that work. And for the average person, that can be really tough. Now, given that, one of the things that we and the group we work with, AE Wealth, one of the things they acquired in the last 6 months or so is a strategy, a hedging strategy called Hedge Veda. They actually teamed up with a guy that used to do this for a living for big insurance companies, $16 billion portfolios. And he's put together, and like some of the things he uses is an ETF that says, look, if you put money in now, a year from now, if you cash this in, we guarantee if the market falls up to 10%, you won't lose any money. Falls more than 10, you'll start losing. So it falls 9, you stay at 0. It falls 12, you're going to lose 2. but you give something up. So on the upside, you get the first 13% of gains, but anything above that you don't get. So you've kind of mitigated your losses, limited your gains, but mathematically, if you know how to blend that with regular investments, you can come up with something that can has the potential to give you to be a little safer and give you just as much growth, but more safety. And there's some other things they do in there too, if the market goes way up or down, some other options they buy. So if you really know what you're doing, it can be powerful, but for the average person, it's kind of tough, but there are experts that know how to blend that in. I've been excited about this. I've spent some time talking to this guy. He's like, graduated top of his class. It has a whole team of quants. It's just kind of interesting. So there's the place for it, but boy, not for probably the average Joe. You really got to know what you're doing. So yeah.
Nancy wants to know, when is the cheapest and best time to purchase a long-term care insurance policy? Before 62, 65, or later?
Okay. Well, first, if you recall, I think it was a few weeks ago, we did a whole happy half hour on long-term care. And I'll tell you, Nancy, the standard policy where you go and you pay them so much every year, and if you go to a nursing home, they pay for X dollars for 2 or 3 or 4 years, that's pretty much dead. If you don't have one, you're not going to buy one, because if we showed you what they cost, you wouldn't buy it, because I wouldn't buy it. It's just so expensive. There's some alternatives, and they fall kind of into two camps. One camp is there's some annuity products that will help pay if you go into you need long-term care, sometimes even at home. And the nice thing about them, and the other camp is life insurance products that say, look, if you buy this and you have this permanent life policy, in some cases even term, and you need long-term care, you can spend the death benefit down for your long-term care. In both cases, the nice thing is if you don't need it, you get to keep the money. You don't give up the money like you do. Traditional long-term care is like fire insurance. If your house never burns down, you never get all that money you paid on fire insurance back. So that's kind of the answer there. Go back to.
Yeah, if you go to our website and you look there, we should have several things about long-term care and life insurance. But to answer your question, the younger you are, the less expensive it's going to be. Now, one of the things that we do like to do, and we mentioned this in those past recordings, is structure it to be usually no more than what we call a 10 pay, to pay over 10 years, sometimes a 5 years, and sometimes a single pay, kind of depending on where you are in life. So the younger you are, the less expensive it is. But sometimes the younger you are, the less capital you have to put into these policies. So it's kind of a balancing act. We find that typically, depending on where you are in life, about 55 and up is where people have enough assets to really start putting the money needed to fund these policies. But kind of, the earlier you can get started, the better.
Okay, and also I might mention that we've also had some more people join us. Let's see, Ellen is here, and Martha, and Amanda, Linda, Ellen. Good to see you. Thank you for the applause.
No, it's not applause for you. It's applause for Amy.
Oh, okay. Well, thank Amy. Amy will thank you for the applause.
It's applause for all of us.
I don't know, Bruce, did we get you already? Is this he says Amy's looking great. Al is also applauding. Nadine, David
here.
Good to see you here on. And
Amanda, of course there's a hook in that. He is actively fishing right now. If you couldn't tell from his perfect form. This is exactly, you know, you could see the ripples on the water moving.
And I'll tell you, there is smallmouth, largemouth, landlocked stripers, white bass, all manner of perch, panfish, big crappies, huge crappies, giant catfish. I mean, 2-3 foot catfish here.
Oh, good. So he should have lots ready for me to eat when I get there. Lots to.
That's right. You just bring your fillet knife, you clean it up and fillet them out, and we'll eat them. Okay. So what other questions we got?
Okay. Carol and Phil want to know, what should be the investment strategy when you go from fully employed to retirement?
Okay. Well, you know, a simple way to think about it is you're going from being a buyer to a seller, right?
You're going from your accumulation phase to your distribution phase.
Yeah, when you're working, you go and you're buying stocks and bonds, you're buying investments every month. Your 401k, you're going to go put $500 a month in and buy them. You know what's really good is if you're a buyer and the market falls in half, like 2008, man, stocks were on sale. You bought twice as much with your $500 a month. You know, and when it went up, you got a big boost, dollar cost averaging. It just works great. When you're retired, you're a seller. You got to sell stocks and things. You got to sell things to get the money to live on. The market falls in half. You got to sell twice as much to get your money. When it comes back, it's not there. It's reverse dollar cost averaging. And so you need to really switch your investment strategy as you get close to and into retirement. And you know, and one of the troubles is a lot of people, they've spent their entire life as a buyer and they've got 401ks which are designed for buying and accumulating, and they get to the distribution phase and they don't change because they don't know any better. And so you really need to go into more strategies that won't take the big hit if things fall down. We've talked about some of those in past happy half hours too. Or really if you go to the site rogo.com, rogo.com, the one we put up our classes, at the top, there's one, Will I Run Out of Money? That's a good one to watch. That'll teach you a lot of the principles. We've done that on the happy half hour too, I'm pretty sure. So I know we have. So the two brothers, that's what we also call it. So what else we got?
Okay, I think we have time for a few more here.
Biting slow today. I'm hard to, you know.
I know, I'm surprised you haven't caught one yet.
Yeah.
You know what I could tell you guys really quickly? We caught a little baby shark today. I know, right? Crazy.
Baby shark,
No, don't. That gets stuck in our head. Don't do it. Don't do
There's
it.
a grandkid out there. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're acutely aware.
there's like 3 kids running around. We don't need to hear that. They'll be singing it all night.
I had some of my close friends, they had you know, I guess their 2-year-old loved Baby Shark, and they had an Alexa, and he would try to tell Alexa to play Baby Shark, but he couldn't quite pronounce it. So it was the cutest thing, him trying to be like, Alexa, play Baby Shark. But luckily he couldn't quite form the words that she could understand. But whenever it would come on, he would get so excited. Oh my goodness. But he wasn't mine. So I know that when it's yours, it's, you know, it's different once you have to hear it 100 times a day. Okay. So Val and Bob, and this is a question that we get a lot, or this is something we talk about with people a lot, is how do you determine how much cash you should have available? how do you know if you have too much, do you not have enough? You know, what is the right amount of cash you should have available for yourself?
I'll tell you what I find. I find that most people, when you're working, there's certain rules for cash. The rule says while you're working, you want to have 6 months of cash or sometimes more. So if you lose your job, you got the cash to live on. When you get to retirement, usually you're now you got Social Security coming in, you got pension money coming in, you may have annuity money coming in, you got a steady flow of income. So it's not like you're going to lose your Social Security. It's going to be there. So you may not need as much then. Most people, I usually think 25 to 50,000 is probably more than enough cash. You know, if the air conditioner goes out and you need to replace it, roof has a problem, you can write a check. But the other thing, remember, if you got money in the stock market, in you know, you can usually get that out of there in just a handful of days. So it's liquid if you need it, and at least it's working and growing for. Sometimes people end up with 200-300. I've seen, you know, 1,000 in cash, and it better put some of that to work for you, you know. And there are, so anyway, that's kind of the answer there. You probably need less in retirement than you did when you were working, because you got a regular income coming in.
And okay, so I have one thing that I feel like comes up as a question a lot, because we're talking constantly, or we speak a lot about Roth conversions. And so people ask often if they can convert their required minimum distributions, or RMDs, to a Roth. And so anytime we do one of these, or anytime we answer general questions, I think it's important to point out that you are not allowed to convert your RMDs to a Roth. You must take your RMDs first, and then you can do Roth conversions above that.
Makes it even more important before age 72 to think about doing as much Roth conversions as you can, because once you get there, then you lose that space that the RMDs are taking up. And boy, you know, taxes for everybody have to go up. If you look at all the deficits, the COVID, and oh man, it'd be smart to do. In fact, going to 72, you should. The good thing about it is not that you don't have to take RMDs for another 2 years. It's because you actually can do Roth conversions for a couple more years. So the smart people. So that's what you want to do.
You know, I actually did speak with somebody on the phone about this the other day, and I do see that there are murmurings. They're in the beginning stages of starting to move the RMD age even higher. But if you really pick it apart, it's going to take a while. It's actually convoluted.
From the government standpoint, that's even better, because if they move it out, and most people are not smart enough to convert, most people will just delay it, which means the pot's bigger, and they're older, so they got to take even more RMDs out and pay even more in taxes on them. So it's almost, from paying down the deficit and getting the most tax money, delaying it will be good. And then if you die, the kids got to take it all out in 10 years. It's like,
yeah. When I started looking at the rule, it looked pretty complicated. And it was like, they're gonna do it to 73 in this timeline, then 74 in this timeline. And I think it's gonna be like 2035 by the time they, you know, do it up to do it up to 75 anyway. So I would still, you know, make haste while the sun shines. One last question. I have one last question though. Okay. Pat and Dave want to know, when do we plan to again hold events at the City Club?
Okay, for those of you who may be new to the thing, we've often held several times a year luncheons for our clients usually at the City Club in downtown Wilmington. We'll take the big room and pack it full of people. I mean, like max 50 people, maximum capacity. And COVID, we've stopped doing that.
It's one of the reasons that we started doing this.
It's one of the reasons we started doing this. Well, in July, we have scheduled, we've just started scheduling classes again at UNCW and Brunswick Community College. Because the COVID, we can now, if you got a mask, you can get together and probably in the fall, we'll schedule the city club again. We're kind of following the government's guidelines. And you know, all our clients are at risk. We don't want to take any risk. So safety first, but I'm hopefully for the fall.
Yep, we've started moving forward, but it's just building up momentum again and trying to work on all the logistics that it takes to get everything in place. But we're very excited to be able to see people again.
So, okay.
Okay, so we're running a little bit late because we got all excited, but I do have our wine raffle. So for anybody who doesn't know how to get entered into the raffle, each week we have a Facebook event, so you can RSVP that you're coming to the event, and we will automatically enter you in. If you share that with a friend, Facebook is smart enough that it will show us that, and I will enter you in twice. And also throughout the week, if you're on our email listserv and you respond to us, we'll let you know what our topic is throughout the week. If you respond to us, you let us know that you're coming. You let us know any questions you have, any future topics you'd like to see covered. Amy usually asks a cute question. If you respond with an answer to that, we will enter you in. And if you let us know that you've forwarded the email to a friend or family member, we will enter you in again as well. But we are not Jedi webmasters that we can tell that you forwarded the email on. You will have to let us know about that. So pretty much any way that you can let us know you'd like to get entered into the wine drawing, do so. Give us a call. Anything you can do. We want to enter you into the wine drawing. We want to give away wine, and this will be our 100th bottle. This will be we always give away 2 bottles of wine. So this will be 100. This will be our 100th bottle of wine that we're giving away today. So I'm very excited about this. So whoever wins, feels like a milestone.
Winner. Yeah.
Yeah. So our winner of 2 wines, 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to your door from Fermental Bottle Shop.
Where we broadcast live about 2-3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Is Jamie E. So congratulations, Jamie. Amy will be in touch to help coordinate getting you your 2 bottles of wine. She is on vacation.
Congratulations.
So it's going to be, expect a call from her next week because we're going to let her enjoy the rest of her vacation in peace. But she will be reaching out to you. And thank everybody else for joining us. And if you didn't win this week, continue to enter. We love giving away wine. And next week, we are going to be talking. We have a special guest. We're going to be having Jonathan Taylor come on, and he's going to be answering your questions about Medicare and Medicare supplements. And we're really excited to have him. Many of you have worked with him before, and he's a really, really awesome guy.
He's an expert, and that is an area you need a lot of expertise because it's Jonathan. He sits above us up in the office, and he's
If you have any questions you would like to ask Jonathan or have us queue up for him for next week, make sure to email them in to us, and we will make sure to go through them with him. But cheers,
everybody. See you next week.
Bye.